Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Polterguys Podcast.
This is season 1, episode 4, and it's our adventure at the ancient Ramin.
So, let's get into it. The place to start with the ancient Ramin, I guess, is the drive down.
Start at the very start?
Yes, start at the very beginning. In fact, things started to happen the moment you picked me up, before we even started driving down.
It did. This is when we started to experience synchronicities, which are coincidences that are meaningful.
Yes, or we used to see these type of things as coincidences, but when they happen so often, they become less of a coincidence.
And more significant. Things can happen and stuff lines up. And it's a bit insane. It starts to get a bit crazy. And you're a bit like, this is too much and too often just to be a coincidence.
Yeah, and the things we're kind of talking about is, for example, like times lining up. And some of you might have experienced things like this before. Some people view it as like angel numbers and things like that. But for example, the clock lining up at 12:21 or 1 o'clock on the dot, or mirrored numbers, things like that. Like I said, some people experience it, but on the specific day driving down to the ancient Ramin, these synchronicities were non-stop, wasn't there?
It was pretty mind-blowing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
This is mad. We'll discuss a little bit about them actually a little bit later on.
Yes. The first synchronicity when you picked me up was with colour.
It was. I wasn't actually in my car as well. My car had broken down, so I had a hire car. And this hire car, it come with internal lighting, which was quite nice. And I was going through the colours with Ben, that the car did. And it stopped on purple. And as it got to purple, it started flashing. I'm like, that's a bit weird. And the reason why it's weird is purple. As you might see, I've got purple on my face and Ben's got green. There's a reason for that, which we'll get into. But during meditation, I see this purple light. And at the time when I started the meditations, I didn't realise this, but it's your third eye chakra. It's the colour of it, which to me at the time, I didn't know this information. And it's a light that I'd seen. And then when I discovered it was actually what you're supposed to see with your third eye, it sort of gave me confirmation, because that information wasn't already inside of me. It's just something I come across later, and I was like, well, I see that. So that kind of confirms that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. So that was the first interesting thing, was it flashing on the purple light, and it didn't flash on any other light.
And it didn't do it just the once. We sort of cycled through the colours again, and it did it again. And after we went to the ancient Ramin, we went through them again, and it didn't do it. It was just on the morning of when we were going to set off to the ancient Ramin. Yeah. It just did it, and it was like, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. And as you arrived, it was, as I said, it was a specific time on the dot. I believe it was 1 o'clock.
It was exactly 1 o'clock. And also something else that I noticed, and I'd put some fuel in the car, and I think the range was, I'd not put fuel in the car yet. We did that on the way down. As I arrived, the fuel gauge said I had 150 miles left of the range in the tank, and the destination to the ancient Ramin was also 150 miles.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like, oh, that's a bit weird. So it's exactly 1 o'clock, 150 miles to the destination, and the tank of fuel has got 150 miles left. You might think, oh, it's just a coincidence, but these get more and more and more as the story goes on.
More frequent. So we started with those synchronicities, and on this investigation, it was just David, myself, and my friend Cade, who came with us to 30 East Drive, which you might have heard about in the last episode. If you haven't, go back and check that out. But it was just us three on this investigation, and we'd started the drive down. Cade fell asleep in the back.
He did.
And me and you were just talking about the previous investigation.
Our experience that we'd already had, and just sort of going over some of the information and
how we might go through the night at the ancient ramming.
How we might change some of our techniques. And I'd got further into meditation and breath work as well. So I wanted to implement some more stuff down that vein. And also, I'd got some equipment now as well. At 30 East Drive, we didn't have any tools per se to use. And this time, we had a few gizmos and gadgets we could try corroborate what we was experienced with some actual real-world data.
We did. And like you said, you got more into the breath work, but so did I. Previously, I'd only really done it for the investigation. For the ancient ramming, I had done this breath work leading up to the investigation, not just on the day. And in the last episode, you'll have heard that I had a little bit to drink before we went into 30 East Drive. On this investigation, I decided not to drink for at least 2 weeks before.
And we do that now before every investigation. We eat totally clean. We don't drink any alcohol, and we step up the breathwork and meditation, which seems to link to these higher dimensions more frequently and stronger.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely enhances the kind of communication we have. So yeah, I'd prepared better for this investigation, and we was talking about that and the kind of the tools that we were going to use that David had now got, and what we would use that worked from the previous investigation at 30 East Drive. The main thing being the Estes method and the mirror scrying.
Yeah, we were both sat there. We were like, "Oh, do you know what we'll have to do? We've got to do the mirror scrying." I've got goosebumps just saying this. The mirror scrying and the Estes method at the same time again, because when we did that at 30 East Drive, that's when it all started to escalate and stuff was happening. So we're going to have to do that again.
And as we were saying this, I heard what I could describe as almost like a popping sound of like a plastic bottle. You know when a plastic water bottle pops? It almost sounded like that. And I did have a water bottle in the car door. So I thought it was the water bottle and didn't notice anything until I looked up, and the windscreen right across my face had just cracked.
Yeah, so as soon as we were saying we need to do this is when it's all ramped up. This cracked just appeared straight across the windscreen right in front of his face, which is a bit weird. It sounds like something from a horror, that's that of a horror film.
Yeah.
And we were both a bit like, oh, there were no stone that hit it, because I've had stone hit windscreens several times before, and you often see the stone coming in, or it makes the stone chipped sound.
Yeah.
And it didn't do that. It was just, the pop was just a crack of the glass.
Yeah.
There was no like stone hitting it.
There'd be an impact point of the stone.
Yeah, you often get...
It was just a clean crack.
That's right. You often get a little a round impact point, and it'll spread out from there. But it just spread from the edge of the window right across, just to the edge of almost his face. Yeah. So it was like
across,
that.
Yeah, across my face. And
we was a bit. We did have Ouija boards in the car as well. Not to say the Ouija boards caused it, but then I was a bit like, that's put me on edge. That's like straight out of a horror film. I keep saying this.
No, it was. It's like it's like it's almost scripted.
Yeah. It's like you could write this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, if you'd seen that in a horror movie, you'd be like, oh, of course that happened. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things, and you'd had to be there to experience it, and it put chills down our spine. And
it did put me on edge, and then I was, in the back of my mind was, is that some sort of warning? Maybe we shouldn't do the Estes method and the mirror scrying at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we should do that.
We decided not to do that. And we do that across all of our investigations. I've had people that I'm telling this story to ask me why I'm doing it, and I wouldn't be messing about with that kind of stuff. And just to let you know, we don't mess about. If we're told to leave these places,
we do.
We leave. If we're told to stop, we stop. We don't push anything.
We always come with respect, and we listen to what we're told.
Yeah.
We don't push, bully, shout, antagonise, and I think that's the correct way to go about it.
So we definitely took that as a sign as we're not doing the SE's method and the mirror scrying at the same time. And as we're getting closer and closer to the ancient Ram Inn, we was coming, I think we was about 10 minutes away at this point, and we was coming to the brow of a hill, wasn't we? The sun was setting, and it
was beautiful.
It set the scene for the night, didn't it?
And eerie at the same time.
Yeah.
As we arrived, we drove up this hill and pulled round, and it was just setting as we got there. It was just getting dark as we saw the old building, and it's a bit like, this place looks like it's haunted, like you'd expect to see from a film or a book or a magazine, in fact. And it was just, it's old and crooked, and you was like, ooh.
Yeah. And the ancient Ram Inn is quite a famous place. It's well known, especially in the paranormal scene. It's a very, very old building. I believe it lays on ley lines.
It's actually built on ley lines, which are energy points that are connected from around the world. I'll put a little bit of information on screen about ley lines if you've never heard of that term before or know anything about it.
So it's rich with history, and there's a lot of things that's gone on at the ancient Ram Inn. So when we actually arrived coming up to the building,
it's around 800 years old, but the original site is even older. There's actually I think there's a pagan burial site.
Yeah, and it links to witch trials and all sorts.
And the highwaymen, and there's steeped in history, absolutely steeped in history.
Yeah, so when we got to the building, I was just looking at it, and I had seen some videos of people going to this place, and I just thought, wow, we're finally here. The
videos and the pictures you see, and even the ones we're going to show you, do not do this justice. When you're actually there with the smells and the atmosphere. Yeah, you walk in, you think, oh, this is haunted.
So we goes in, we park the car, and we start unpacking the equipment, walking around the house or walking around the inn just to see what it's like.
But when we first walked round into what is the backyard where we actually parked our car, all the lights in the building was off except one lamp, which you could see through at like a glass door window, and there was a lamp on and a light, like a little what's the word? Not a cage. It's like a glass, like a glass case, and you could see the mummified cat from the outside, and that's the only thing you could see.
That's the first thing you would see.
It's almost like a silhouette of the building because the sun was setting, and that's all you could see, and it was just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, it was really scary at that point. I think it put chills down my spine.
Cade, he doesn't watch any of the paranormal stuff we'd been watching that intrigued us. Knew nothing about the place, and we didn't even tell him about this. And he saw that, and he was a bit like, Is that a setup to make it look spooky? And I'm like, no, it's genuinely a 400-year-old mummified cat that the owner, Rambo, found in the wall when he was renovating in the 70s, and it's just on display. And he didn't believe me. He kind of like, no, that's got to be just set up to make it look spooky. I bet there's a fake skeleton in the corner. It's like, no, that is genuine.
Yeah, being found in the walls.
It's actually on a book as well. Apparently they used to do that to ward off evil spirits.
Yeah, which links to the times the witches was around and dates back to how old the building is. So we're doing this walk around, checking the rooms, making sure, like you said, nothing's been set up, seeing how we feel with the rooms.
Seeing where the rooms are, how accessible they are, where the stairs are.
Which bits we'd want to investigate, where we'd want to do the SE's method and things.
Where we're going to sleep, because you walked in, and on the top floor, it's almost like an attic. There's a bed set up there, and you're like, I'm going to sleep here tonight.
Yeah, I did.
And I'm like, are you sure? I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to sleep in here on my own tonight.
We said the same thing at 30 East Drive, and we all ended up in the living room.
We all ended up in the living room with a light on, holding hands.
Yeah. So,
trying to sleep there.
So at the ancient Ram Inn, I wanted to be a bit more brave, and I thought, I'm going to sleep in one of the beds tonight. Anyway, we'll get on to that. And as we're doing the walk around, you had the device, the EMF reader.
This EMF, it's not the K2, which is often seen on investigations, which I have got now as well. This is actually an electric device that detects live wires in walls. It's what like builders and stuff would use, electricians. And I'll put a little display on screen so you can see it. and this isn't that sensitive. It doesn't just trigger. You've got to be really close to live electricity.
No.
And we did do a sweep of the house to see if there was any spikes anywhere and if we could trace cables and if that's where it's coming from. It didn't really go off until I was literally next to an electrical device or an outlet, and that's when it sort of did a little beep.
Like a light switch on the wall or a fridge.
You literally have to be within an inch of it for it to activate. It don't just randomly trigger. And we did a whole sweep of the house just to get a baseline.
Yeah. And even when it does activate, it has different levels, and it was only going to the smallest of levels because it's a little bit of electricity which it's monitoring. So we knew that the device worked, and it wouldn't just randomly come up with red flashes throughout the night, which meant we trusted this device.
It did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and which is why we tested it before we just went into the investigation and it starts going off, and we wasn't sure if it actually worked.
We always like to get a baseline whenever we go anywhere. We'll test stuff and get a baseline of what the building actually does without any investigation going on. Because sometimes you do get electrical items in buildings that are spitting out EMF, like fridges. If you go to the side of a fridge where the door meets the frame, you can often get EMF out of there. And that can leak into the room a little bit. It can come a couple of feet away. So it's good to get an idea that is in fact doing that, and it's not a spirit energy you're picking up. Yeah, 100%.
So after we've done the walk around and tested the equipment, I went outside with Cade because he wanted to have a smoke. And as we were stood outside, I was just looking at the outside of the building, and I could see one of the glass doors. Now, I'd seen the shadow of a person or a silhouette of a person walk past the door, which I assumed was David, as you would, because it's a full body person. And I said to Cade, I'm like, oh, David's walking through the building in by himself. He's brave.
And I can tell you, I am not that brave.
And then from the left of me in the kitchen, I hear David go, I'm in here. What do you mean?
No, I'm in here. I'm in the kitchen. What's up? What's happened?
And I was like, how do you explain that? The kitchen's there, and where I'd seen the silhouette of a person is over there. There's no way you got there, and you wasn't there.
Wasn't there, yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going to brush that to one side and forget that even happened. It was very odd. I wasn't expecting to see something like that.
Straight away as well. And the location becomes a little bit more important. Where he saw this shadow figure becomes even more important a bit later on in the story as well, because we had an experience just where he saw the shadow, which is really creepy.
Yeah, we did. And where I seen the shadow is at the bottom of a staircase as well. So it would be going upstairs, which again is why I assumed it was you. But yeah, it's very, very creepy start, and it put me on edge a little bit, I think. Go on.
So from 30 East Drive, me and Cade sort of had the bigger experiences because Ben was doing the SDs method. So for him, most of the evening was just spitting out random words, except the breath he got in his ear and some of the bits and pieces. But this one, you got a lot more personal experiences yourself, didn't you, from that first shadow you saw?
Absolutely, yeah. That was the start of it. Put it that way, that was the start of it. We then went on to do our breath work and meditation to help us relax, which I definitely needed at that point, and to get us into the mood of starting the investigation. As we're doing the breath work, I felt just like a touch down the back of my neck. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like feeling someone's finger just go down the back of your neck is how it felt to me. But I didn't say anything because it was happening while I'm doing the meditation. So
when we're meditating, we don't want to talk or... No. Because you sort of throw other people out of getting into the trance-like state. So I was also getting touches. It was almost like someone pulling at my top like this. Mm-hmm. That's how it started. And then a little bit further on, I got this static electricity. It started around here. It slowly started moving down my arm. And as it moved down my arm, each hair was going one by one, standing up. And it got to around here, and I had to go, like shake it off and open my eyes, because it was just getting a bit creepy and getting a bit much.
Yeah, it definitely was. So we stopped the meditation and we told each other, I felt this, and I felt this as well. And Cade was like, I've not really felt much. It didn't.
He's not really into the meditation either. I think he struggles to meditate, and he was saying, I'm not really feeling it. So I said, just sit quietly with your eyes closed and just see if you feel out and relax.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually do it if you're not into it.
No, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'd done the breath work and we was ready to start now, ready to start the investigation. You had bought this Tesla coil, didn't
yes.
you?
So my idea was, my brain's always thinking, how can we test new things? How can we turn up this interaction? So my idea was I want to go buy a Tesla coil and leave it in a room or a building that we're going to investigate for maybe an hour, half hour, an hour before, to charge up the energy in the ether, in the atmosphere, before we go in. So we did set the ball up in what is called the bar area, and we left it running whilst we was having a look round and doing our breath work. So we thought we'd go in there, it's charged up, let's see if that amplifies things.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say whether it did or didn't, because I didn't have a blind test, so it's not like I could investigate it before and then add that in. It was more of a, let's see if it does anything.
Yeah. It was a kind of trial, wasn't it? And like you said, the idea comes from watching other YouTubers and other paranormal investigators. Often you see devices being drained of energy, and it's almost like what you'd call spirits would need this energy to communicate. So the idea with the Tesla coil is it's producing that energy for the spirits to draw from. And that was the idea with it. So yeah, we'd set that up at the start in the bar area, and that was the first place we started to investigate.
Our first port of call.
We'd also had an EVP recorder.
Yes, we had an EVP recorder, and the one I've got is really good. You can leave it in a room for 30 minutes, and it'll only play back what it has actually recorded. So it's great for doing EVP sessions. You can sit in a circle, start asking questions, sit for 30 seconds, a minute in silence, and it flashes if it starts to record. And then when you're playing back all the silences, it doesn't play back. So you can quickly play back 2-3 hours worth of investigation very quickly to see if you've captured anything.
Yeah. So we decided to use this while doing call outs, just speaking, saying, is anyone here? Does anyone want to communicate? Things like that. So we'd set up this recorder on the table next to the Tesla coil, and we were sat around it asking these questions, and then we reviewed the recording. There wasn't anything that stood out to say that's a voice.
There was nothing that was, yes, that's paranormal. We did get some anomalies. There was some strange interference.
Yeah.
And also there was on the recording, it sounded like a tap on the Tesla coil, the glass ball of the Tesla coil. And I did try to replicate it. I was like, that's what it sounds like. I tapped on the ball and it sounded just like the recording.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've still got these recordings and I'll play them now.
Yeah. So it definitely sounded like the tap, and that's what we could only put it down to. There wasn't anything else really tapping, or that could tap in the room. But still, we was questioning: is it paranormal? It's just picked up some interference from these videos that we watched.
It is a little bit. The interference is a bit weird because we sat in silence, and the recording device is sat in the middle of the table, and no one's touching it, no one's moving it, no one's banging the table. There's no reason for the interference to be there. But like I say, we can't not say that is genuine paranormal activity. It's just electrical interference.
Yeah, exactly. And from watching YouTube videos and seeing people use EVP recordings before, often they tend to get something that sounds like a voice and it's saying words. Whether I believe it or not is another thing.
We kind of wanted to debunk this, that it's all done post-production or some trickery. Are these real? Is it a genuine phenomena, or is all this kind of stuff faked for content?
Yeah. Because at this point, we were still proving to ourselves, is this 100%?
What is genuine and what isn't as well? In my mind, I'm starting to think this stuff's real. Like there's some stuff happening. But how far does it go in reality, and how far is faked for TV, YouTube content?
Yeah.
Scaring people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and entertainment purposes. So that's what we got on the recording. And then we decided to move on into the barn area, or barn outhouse kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they did have a rocking chair there.
Yes.
This is before we got our own rocking chair, and they did have a rocking chair there, so you did
That's correct.
pick up the rocking chair.
Yeah, I picked up the rocking chair because we planned to do the Estes method in the barn. And we'd plonked the chair in the barn near the doorway. Now, it's a very old building.
There is actually a little stream that runs through the barn as well.
Yeah.
Some water that flows under it, not actually through it, it's actually under it.
There is. And the floor is not very stable. And there was bricks all over. And there wasn't much room to get around the chair. So what we did is place the chair there. And then the two people that was going to be asking the questions were going to stand in the doorway just outside of the room.
So we were a good 10, 15 feet away from you.
10 feet, yeah. 10 feet. And this time, Cade decided he would start with the Estes method. He'd be the first one to do it with the headphones on. So he sat in the chair, put the headphones on, and we'd started asking questions. Now, we got a few responses. Nothing that was a clear conversation. It was more like the odd word. It did mention how dark it was. Now, the barn had no lights in it.
It was pretty much pitch black at this point.
Yeah. And there was no way to turn a light on. And the whole house was dark, and even the room we were standing in the doorway. And they had old lamps, old oil lamps hanging from the ceiling. And after it mentioned the darkness, it said, turn the lamp on.
Yeah.
And we were just like...
Right, that's a bit weird.
It's a bit odd. But we didn't really get much else from Cade. So we decided to switch, and I put the headphones on and I sat in the chair.
And then I said, is there any spirits here that'd like to communicate? Straight away, Ben goes, yes. Okay. And I thought, I'm going to go down a different route of questioning here. I asked, what year is it for you? And they said 1664. I'm like, okay, that's a bit weird.
Very specific as well, isn't it?
And then the spirit said, it's cold, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, it's freezing. Was this in January?
Yeah, it was in winter time, I believe.
And it was absolutely freezing. And this is an old house, so there's covered in holes,
by the windows,
cold air's
and
getting
at the bottom
in.
of the doors and things.
Absolutely freezing. And I was like, yeah, it's cold. And then Ben said, put the fire on. And Cade was stood sort of leaning like this against the wall above a fire. And we both looked at each other and were like, that's quite specific. That's a bit weird.
Mm-hmm. Very, very strange, wasn't it?
And then Cade asked, he said, show yourself. Will you show yourself to me? And you said, yes. So I said, when? And you said, the witching hour. Well, me and Cade were like, well, that's weird. I said, when's the witching hour? 3 a.m? And you went, no, 2 a.m. And we were like, oh, this is like getting... Yeah. I've got goosebumps just thinking about it.
And the reason why you said 3 a.m. is because...
That is what is commonly known as the witching hour. So and you're like, no, at 2 a.m, you will see me. Wow. So...
At this point, it was probably about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was. So I says, all right, if you're really here, touch Ben on that shoulder. And I pointed to your right shoulder.
Right shoulder.
Sorry, right shoulder. Looking the other way.
Yeah. And, well, all I can explain...
What did you feel?
All I can explain was... And bearing in mind, I said there was no way to get behind the chair, right? And so I knew neither of you...
Yeah, previously, not that we ever have or ever would, but in his subconscious mind, we're close enough to him when we're doing this, when he's been touched previously, that it could be us, because we are in range and close enough. Yeah. Now we're 10 feet away. His back is into the barn area, so there's nothing behind him except a big empty space.
Yeah, and at the time, what we would do was tap each other to stop the Estes method, because you can't say, oh, Ben, just stop, or David, stop.
So we'll stop the ITC application running, and then we'll go tap him and be like come round, you know.
Yeah. We do that now, so it's less scary. Before, we'd leave the app running and then just tap each other. And it
you jump out your skin.
Jump out your skin. So now we pause it first. But in my mind, I thought they could tap me, but I knew they wasn't behind me. And what I felt was a hand do this, each finger individually on my right shoulder.
Now you screamed. He grabbed the headphones, pulled them out.
I jumped up and like I said,
it looked like he jumped about 10 foot out of the chair.
Yeah, and like I said, the floor was unstable, so I was stumbling on all the bricks.
And it is pitch black.
My ankle.
Yeah, you did. Screamed. Yeah. I've never heard him scream like that before.
And I was just like, my face was like, I went drip white, and I was like, I was shaking, and David was like, what's just happened? What's happened? And I went, I've just been touched on my right shoulder.
Me and Kate just looked at each other, and I went, I've literally, the second I've asked for it, I says, can you touch him on that shoulder? And I pointed. I didn't even say it, just because for some reason he could hear me. For some reason, maybe the app stopped and the earbuds had stopped using noise cancelling, and he heard the word and his subconscious did it. I just pointed and it was the correct shoulder.
Yeah.
For me, there's no more evidence you can get than asking, can you do that? And it happens instantly.
Yeah.
That's like,
for me, it's scary enough getting touched and feeling that, but I didn't know you'd asked for it.
No, and up until this point, when we've been touched previously, like I say, it's little things you can dismiss that. It's like,
could just be brushing.
That's not 100%, but feeling an actual hand finger by finger.
Yeah.
I think you said it was cold. Was it cold?
It was cold. Yeah. You could feel it. It was cold, and like I said, I jumped up and your face just, when I said I've just been touched on my right shoulder, your face just dropped and you literally just turned scared in silence.
Well, I'm like,
what's happened? You went, I asked it to touch you on your, and I thought, what is happening here?
So we actually went back in to do the a bit reluctantly, I think. I says, can you go back into doing the SDs method and sit there? And it was a bit like, he was like, please don't ask it to touch me again. I said, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And because you were telling me you'd got a lot. You mentioned the fire and the
I said stuff started to build up. And stuff started to communicate now. We're starting to get information. Let's see. So he went back in, sat down, and I said, who's touched Ben? And you said, me. So I said, where have you come from? And you said, the hole in the floor. And in the room next to us, where we started, the bar area, there's a big hole in the floor when the Rambo was renovating the property again back in the 70s. It was digging down, and they found some what they believe to be children's bones and some daggers, and they had these dated. And they're about 400-year-old, and they believe that it was some sort of sacrifice, which is really sad. The hole is still there, it's got a grate over it, but this entity, whatever it was, told us it's just come from that hole. So we stopped the SDs method, and I says, we need to get the rocking chair, get some equipment. I said, we need to go sit in front of that hole and see what happens.
Yeah. For some reason I agreed. Don't know why, can't tell you. But I agree. Yeah, I agreed to sit in front of that hole and do the SDs method again. So we moved the chair.
We did.
Sit down.
Ben was sat in front of the grave, started rocking with the headphones on, and we sat in one of the bar booths, as it were, quite close, so enough to touch him this time. If we got up and moved.
Yeah, Cade could have done. You were too far.
So I started asking again, can you touch Ben on his leg? And he'd be like, someone's touched me on my leg. He'd touch him on the elbow. Someone touched him on the elbow. And then... And
there was pulls at my legs, like it was pulling on my clothes at the bottom of my legs, and it just felt so strange. And I turned around a couple of times and like, are you sure you're not touching me? Are you sure? And
I was like, no, it's me. And was at that point you said, can you ask it to stop touching? Can you ask it to stop touching?
Not just,
was it just no. What happened was, I remember.
Yeah.
We were sat there, and then you said, hide, he's coming. And I says, no, we're not hiding. And then you said, he's going to push him. So I said, go on then. Your chair went forward as if someone had pushed it to try push you into the grave.
Yeah, and I felt the jolt on the back
could
of the
see
chair.
I mean, it is dark, but there's a little light coming through the window, and you could see it jolt. Yeah. There's no way you could have done it yourself
from the back.
No, it jolted. Yeah. It was really weird.
And I jumped up and almost fell in the grave, and I went, have you just pushed my chair? Are you sure you're not playing tricks on me? In my mind, like David said, we agreed that we wouldn't do this, but in my mind, it's so unexplainable. It has to be one of you.
Your subconscious mind tries to rationalise it, and the only explanation is we're doing that.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation that your subconscious mind can create other than they've got to be doing this.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was being touched in places you wouldn't even be able to reach. So it was just so odd, and I couldn't. My head just couldn't get round it at that point. And then you said, we said
nobody's going to believe this, that this is happening. We're going to have to try film this. Let's set up a camera and film it, because the responses we're getting are instant, and I want to try and capture something moving on camera. Mm-hmm. Who's going to believe our stories? So Cade, I think it was Cade, who set his phone up. Mm-hmm. We sat down, we started
the flash
again.
On because
he had the flash on to illuminate the scene. And for about 15 minutes we sat there and not a single thing happened.
From all this communication.
And of course you're going to be like, oh, of course it didn't, because I would. I'd be like, oh, yeah, as soon as you try record it, it doesn't happen. It's like, because we've seen YouTubers say this, all the best stuff happens off camera. Yeah, this a lot. But this is the stuff we're starting to experience now. Because you think, oh, yeah, of course it does. But we're actually starting to experience this now.
Yeah.
Why is nothing happening? Yeah.
All these investigations we've done, we're noticing it more and more. So the light was on and it was quiet for 15 minutes.
For about 10, 15 minutes, nothing happened except one thing. You were sat there, rocking in this chair with eyes shut, these noise-cancelling headphones on, and you just come out with one little sentence, and it was, the light is hampering. So I'm like, the light's hampering. Kid, switch your phone off. There's a light on it. Switch it off. Let's see what happens. So he got up, turned the phone off. Within 20 seconds, it all started back up again. And I think we was running an EVP recorder, and I think I've got the first 5 minutes as it's starting back up again. And when Ben listened back to this, he was like, oh my God, it's so instant. And I'm like, no, this is just warming up.
Yeah, and he was like, you didn't hear what we got.
It's literally the second I'm saying stuff's happening. And what your experience listening to this recording is just warming up. It's not even as instant as it gets.
Yeah. So listening back to it, I was like, because it was good for me to also hear that. I don't get to. I've got the noise cancelling headphones in. I'm not hearing the questions. I'm not hearing how quick and accurate the responses are.
It's like you're talking to someone.
Yeah.
It's unrefutable. It's not just a sporadic word here or there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have had other people experience this with us now. Like I said, they're going to be coming on as guests to corroborate our story and tell you their experience. But if I was watching what we do on TV, I'd be like, that's set up. Because how else would that happen? It's got to be set up, but it's not, obviously.
Yeah. But it was mad, and it was good for me to, like I said, to hear that and see how it was working. You asked for me to be touched quite a few times while I was sat in front of that grave, and it did happen. When we stopped the SD's method, at that point I said to you, right, we need to stop asking for me to be touched.
I've had enough. It's freaked me, especially the hands. I'm
uncomfortable now at this point. Yeah. I was still, I believed a little bit more after 30 East Drive, but I was still sceptical. At that point, my mind's blown. And
the biggest thing I think you had at 30 East Drive was that breath in your ear and the bang from the room.
Yeah.
They were the biggest things. You didn't hear the door handle come down and slowly open.
No, so for me, that was like the full turning point.
Seeing something now, like a big shadow, what you hear people say, a big shadow, there's no explanation for it. And then you've got a cold hand touching you.
Yeah, it's it was just unbelievable. So I was uncomfortable and I said, I was like, can we take a break for 5-10 minutes? We took a break. And then we decided to go upstairs and investigate upstairs.
The first it wasn't the first. We went in a couple of rooms, but nothing happened to start with.
Yeah, I think there's around 5 or 6 rooms upstairs
in total
on the first floor in total. We went round 4 or 5 of the rooms and did our thing with the EVP and tried. I think we tried SD. No, we didn't try the SDs. Sorry, in those rooms because I was a bit shaken.
You sort of had enough of doing the SDs, I think. And we wanted to try some other stuff.
Yeah, let's try some other stuff using the EVP, the EMF reader, and trying call outs. in the four or five rooms upstairs, nothing really happened.
No, the bishop's room and some of the other rooms. The bishop's room is said to be one of the most haunted. However, we didn't experience anything in there.
No.
And we discussed, obviously, on the way down about mirror scrying and doing the SDs, and we said we're not going to do them at the same time. But I thought maybe I'll try some of the mirror scrying.
Yeah.
However, in the bishop's room, I'm a bit like, I'm getting a bit scared, to be honest. I don't think I'm gonna. I'm gonna build up and I'll do it, but I'm not maybe not yet.
Not just yet. And we did spend a good 20-25 minutes in each of those rooms, and like I said, nothing. We're going to the last room, which is they call it the witch's room.
The witch's room.
It's got a Ouija board on a table in that room.
It's a big Ouija board, big glass Ouija board, and it's been custom made for the property because it's the ancient ramming Ouija board. It's actually a really nice piece of kit.
Yeah, it is. And we didn't get to use a Ouija board at 30 East Drive because you're not allowed.
We didn't, and I had two in the car. And weirdly, I don't know if we mentioned this, during the SD's method, you did say, go get the boards. My partner Dina got up and went to the car, and I said, hang on. There is signs saying, please don't use Ouija boards here, and if you are caught using them, you will be ejected from the property.
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, it's not worth it. And also, when something unseen is telling us to go get a Ouija board, it's a bit like, no. I don't think I will.
Yeah, so we didn't at 30 East Drive, but this was our opportunity to use one by ourselves, because we did at Army Mills.
Army Mills, yeah, and we wanted to do it ourselves. So we know none of us are pushing it, and we know if there's anything that happens, it is genuine.
Yeah. So we had, all three of us had a play around on the Ouija board. Nothing really happened, I would say.
Other than Cade got the EMF, and
he come off it at this point.
Yeah, he put it to the board to start with, and it didn't detect anything, which is what you would expect. We started the Ouija session. It did move a tiny bit, but that is probably one of us, because you are sat for 5-10 minutes with your hand gently like this, and you are going to have little spasms and movements, and it might not even feel like you, and it is going to maybe jolt a little bit and move.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's paranormal at all. I think that's just our body.
Yeah.
However, Cade did reread the board with the EMF meter, and it did detect electricity.
It started flashing.
Yeah.
Slightly. And it was like,
that's weird.
It's odd. It hasn't gone off at any other point. Just only at the light switches and things like that.
There's also a sign near the door when you come in that people have seen an apparition of a woman appear there. And he put the meter towards where the sign was, and it started going off there as well. And it was repeatable. It just flickered, and that was it. It was like and I'm not doing that anymore. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Big coincidence that it just randomly goes off where an apparition appears and it's repeatable.
Yeah.
It is a bit strange.
Yeah. And some time had passed at this point. It had been about an hour or so since the last SD session, and because of the other rooms being so quiet and the Ouija board being quiet, I was a bit more comfortable and relaxed again, and I decided, let's try an SD session in this room. I don't remember getting too much in the witch's room.
Quite a bit come through, but it was all about a priest. A priest kept coming through, and you also mentioned the name of a priest, and I think it was John. And then after the session, I went outside, and there's some little like notes along the walls of some stories, and we didn't read this previously, but upon having reading it after the fact, there was a priest. I
believe it was the bishop. The bishop's room.
Yeah,
the bishop was called John.
He was known as John, and it was like, oh,
also
that's weird.
If I'm remembering this correctly, the previous owner who had died there, Rambo, his actual name was John.
He is that's his Christian name, as it were. Yeah. That's his. It was known as Rambo, but he was born John.
Yeah. So it was just a bit odd.
Yeah, it was.
Odd.
What we got from it was there was a priest called John, and he did some horrendous things. He wasn't a very nice man, and there was some. I'm not going to go into much detail, but there was some children involved, and it wasn't very pleasant. That's It wasn't a full story. It was a bit broken and it was a bit bitty.
Yeah.
However, there was some bits and pieces there, but nothing like the communication we've had previously, where it's like doof, 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 doof. It was just a bit like, oh, okay. It's kind of stuff you'd see more on a YouTube channel, where it's just bits and then they're sort of piecing it together. We're a bit more like that.
Yeah, it was. And after that, not getting too much on the first floor, it was getting to around 1:30 at this point.
Yeah.
We decided to go to the top floor, where it's almost like a converted loft in a sense. Not converted, but it's like a loft area, isn't it?
In fact, it was getting closer to 2 a.m. It was about 1:30. Because we said the witching hour, we got told the witching hour is going to be at 2 o'clock and we will see something. So we kind of said
I think you were consciously aware of, like,
we were like looking a bit at the time.
Yeah.
And we were like, we kind of wanted to be in that top floor for around 2 a.m, the witching hour.
Yeah. And it worked out about that going upstairs. So we went upstairs and Cade at this point still had the EMF out, because that was his tool for the night that he took charge of, and he was taking it around the witch's room.
Just to say as well, we always have our phone in flight mode.
Yeah.
We often don't even have our phones on us.
We leave it downstairs in the
often leave them downstairs. We'll make like a HQ. This time it was in the kitchen area. We'll often leave our phones and everything there. Or if someone does take a phone, because a couple of the ITC applications are on my phone, I'll make sure it is in flight mode, and I've tested the devices near it to make sure they are not triggered, and they are not. I've left them there for hours to see if it just randomly does it, and it doesn't. So it's not our devices that are triggering it either.
No, and we'd already checked at the start of the investigation the EMF
in levels. The baseline levels in the building.
Yeah, and in the top area in the loft, it didn't do anything, not anything on that check. When we went up towards the end of the night, the further we was going up them stairs, it was building up. Now it starts at like a green, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then it goes up, or it has 4 red dots.
You're thinking of the K2 with it.
K2.
This device has little red dots. They don't change colour. The stronger the reading is, the more full the dots get.
Yeah, and it has a display on it that can tell you the temperature of things and stuff.
Yeah, temperature. And
the levels of
EMF. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's slowly like ticking up as we're getting up the stairs, and like,
as if you're getting closer to electricity, like did.
Like, what's happening here? And goes upstairs, and as we get on the floor, it goes to maximum, and the display
just fully.
It's like beep, and it beeps as well. It doesn't just go up. It beeps, so you're aware that it's changing.
It's a constant. You're almost like a constant tone at this point.
Yeah, and it was a constant tone, and the screen read "Danger to life." Now
we were like,
what on earth? And that's not meaning it's a paranormal poltergeist. This device is for electricians. That means what that would read is almost like a live socket that's gonna electrocute you.
There's a live wire emitting that much EMF into the atmosphere that it's a danger to life. Get out of that situation.
Yeah, but it's reading that
in the middle of the room that we've tested. So what's going on? And this freaked Cade out.
Yeah.
He actually turned the device off because he went, that's freaked me out just as much as the door opening in 30 East Drive. He was like, why is it doing that? Why is it doing that?
It was just totally unexplainable.
Yeah.
And we'd had the device on for hours. Nothing else happened with the device. Why is it doing that?
So it's only ever triggered at the Ouija board.
At the sign.
At the spot where it says something manifests here, and then as we're walking up the stairs, the signal's getting stronger till the point of this is a danger to life. And I was a bit like, should we get out of here? Like,
are we going to get electrocuted? Like, what's happening?
He has a cable frayed or something just randomly whilst we've been walking around the house.
There was nothing, no cables there. Like you said, Cade didn't like it, switched the device off.
because it didn't stop. It didn't calm down. It was just constant, and it was going on for like a while. It felt awkward. It was like, what was supposed to do here? And it just turned it off. It was like, no, I've had enough.
Yeah. And upstairs, there's part of the loft where I think there's some random bits scattered about, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's part of it you can't actually get to.
Yeah, it's sort of caved in a bit, so that's sort of cordoned off, and there's some bits and pieces of furniture.
Yeah.
Some chairs and some like desks with
mirrors on,
and
like,
like vanity units and
yes,
that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then there's almost like a doorway into it's a bedroom. It's a big bed.
It's actually where, just a little bit of history of the house, the daughter of Rambo, that used to be her bedroom. That's where she used to sleep. And she's got a story of a chest of drawers being pushed down the stairs.
Yeah. And all around the bed are more mirrors. Lots of mirrors.
Yes.
The whole room is surrounded by mirrors. I decide I'm going to do an Estes session in that room.
You're going to lay on the bed?
At first, I sat on the bed, and then I put the earphones on, and I try rocking. You don't have the rocking chair, but I'm sat on the bed. I'll try rocking back and forth.
The staircase up into this loft is quite tight, and I think we decided the rocking chair was all the way downstairs. I think it was going to be a bit much, so we're going to try get it up these sort of...
Yeah. To try and get it up the stairs. So I sat on the edge of the bed, put the headphones on. Almost instantly it said lay down. So I was like, well, I've been told what to do, and I laid down, and things then started coming through.
Well, before that something happened, didn't it?
Before that, as I laid down, 30 seconds or so had passed, and then I felt the bed compress, like as if someone had sat on it, like, you okay? They'd just sat next to me. So and I'm laid there with my eyes shut, so I jump up, and they're sat on the chairs over there.
Like, what's up?
I'm like, did you just sit on the bed? No, we haven't moved. I just went, well, someone's just sat on the bed next to me. Okay, never mind. Let me lay back down, close my eyes, and see what can happen. You and Kid started asking some questions at that point, didn't you?
Yeah, Kid says, okay then, show yourself to me. And you says, okay, look in the mirrors. And we were both like, and especially after the experience at 30 East Drive and then the windscreen cracking as we were talking about, I was like, there's no way I'm looking in those mirrors.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm getting freaked out. And you kept saying, look in the mirrors. And both me and Kid were like, no. We're not doing that. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Well, I think you started with saying, "Oh, you're going to show yourself to me?" And then it responded, "Yeah," or I responded, "Yes," with the headphones on, and then you asked, "How are you going to show yourself?"
Yeah. Go on then, show yourself.
It said in the mirrors, didn't it?
Yeah, right.
And then it repeatedly asked you to look in the mirrors.
You wouldn't stop saying, "Look in the mirrors," and no.
And then, I believe, from what you've told me, is one of you asked, who are we speaking to?
That's right. We said which. I said, how many spirits are here? There's 3. One was a female spirit.
It gave us a name.
It gave us a name. I can't remember the name. However, it's been said that a woman committed suicide in the top room and hung herself off one of the beams. And I can't remember the name. It was something like Sarah. But I'm not 100% sure. And then the priest come back through, John. And then the third was, in fact, the devil, apparently.
Or what was said was, the devil, come dance with me.
Yep. And we were like, what's that mean?
Yeah. Now, at the time, as you can imagine, that's enough to freak anybody out. Cade, especially, from the danger to life thing, and it's saying, devil, come dance with me.
That's a bit weird. I just want to point out, as he said that, lights just started flickering. I don't know if you've noticed on most of our recordings, when we actually mention a certain spirit, it's always the green light starts flickering randomly. I just thought I'd point that out. I've never mentioned it before. It's just an observation. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Ben.
Anyway, so yeah, it was...
It's weird, isn't it? Now these lights are actually plugged in. They're not on battery power, so there's no actual reason for that.
It's not losing power or anything.
In fact, do you want to pull the cable out?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. So sorry, we'll carry on.
We'll carry on now. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
So after hearing Devil come down to me, we tried to work out what does that mean. At this point we believe now, but
we believe there's more to than just this realm and just our time here. Once it ends, it ends.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe there's a devil that religions push, that there's a little man with horns that runs around and collects souls. I don't believe that exists. In fact, the devil is just your ego. We all have a devil inside us, and that's our ego. God is just your higher self, just the universe. There's different words for it. That's my view on it.
That's something we've come to believe now. At the time, I don't know about you, but I didn't think like that. I didn't know what that even meant. I didn't believe in the devil, but I didn't know what like the devil.
I didn't believe in the devil, but when we were having these experiences and then they said, "Who are you?" It's the devil. You kind of go, "Is it?
Yeah.
Have I got this completely wrong?"
Yeah. And it was so strange, but from what we've learned from our investigations and what you could almost call our spiritual awakening and learning new things through these investigations and the things we do, we've come to the terms that when we get communication and things are referred to as demons or monsters or the devil, what we believe is that is probably a person or now a spirit.
Well, we are. It's not a now a spirit.
We're always
We're a spirit having a human experience.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, someone that's not physically there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I like to be correct.
Yeah. So what we believe now it's a spirit that has more than likely done something
heinous in
bad,
human life.
Yeah, terrible.
Okay.
We'll finish without that line. Getting a bit weird now. So
just to interrupt there as well, we don't normally say this, but we always have a nightmare setting this up to record. Stuff goes missing. We've had random malfunctions, cameras dying, just stuff not working, and we've been locked out of this room.
Yeah,
I just wanted to put that in there while we're talking about weird stuff, because
it's been on charge for hours. It's been on charge the whole time. It shouldn't be dying,
and it just starts to do that as he talks about a certain thing, which is weird. Sorry.
Anyway, we'll brush that off. I can't remember where I was at now.
So the devil. We believe from our experiences that it's not a little man running around who's red. And
we believe it's a spirit that has probably done something, like you said, heinous, bad, terrible, that people, even in life, would probably say he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's a demon. Do you know what I mean? It's something that you would refer to someone that does something like that anyway. So we don't believe it's a demon that can come and scratch you and attack you and things like that.
Yeah. We don't believe that. We've not experienced. This is something we've yet to experience, like being scratched. You see some of the videos that people get through scratches. We've not experienced that yet, so we cannot confirm that is genuine. No. If we do, we will report back. But up until now, we've not experienced that.
And like you said, we don't believe in little devil running around with horns. So that's what we now believe in terms of the demon and the devil being mentioned. But at the time, we was absolutely terrified. We decided to end the night there. It was getting late. We was getting tired.
Yep.
I definitely wasn't sleeping in that room anymore. So
he'd lost his braveness, shall we say?
Yeah. Especially being after being touched that many times. So we all made our way downstairs quickly. For some reason decided to sleep under the mummified cat.
For me, I slept on the sofa under the case where the mummified cat is, and for me, I've shown people pictures of this, and for me, I did feel the safest part in the house.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No.
It looks terrifying, but it actually felt that bit was okay.
Yeah.
And you and Kate sort of slept on the floor, didn't you? I think you was holding hands.
Yeah. Snuggling. At one point during the night, I'd only just nodded off because obviously I was terrified. I was sleeping. It was freezing cold.
I slept in 2 layers of clothes because I took a change of clothes, but I kept my clothes on, put another layer on top, and then had a sleeping bag because that's how cold it was.
Yeah, I was 2 layers of clothes, coat on, blanket in the sleeping bag, and still cold. And I was under the mummified cat, which the light doesn't go off, so it was quite bright. And I'd only just nodded off, and then Cade wakes me up. What's that sound? What's that sound? So I open my eyes and I'm like, what sound? He's like, I can hear something coming from the kitchen. And I couldn't hear something coming from the kitchen because that was on his right hand side, but I could hear David to the left of me. That's what he was doing in his sleep. And I just looked over and I was making sure he just wasn't choking in the middle of the night, and I could see he was asleep and he was just going And I'm like, I just went, it's just David, because I was so tired and I just wanted to go back to sleep. I'm like, it's just David. And then Kate just went, no, it's coming from the kitchen. I'm like, no, it's David. He's making sound. Can't you hear him? He went, yeah, but there's something else. And then David just stops going, Just goes, oh, was it me? Sorry. Just goes back to sleep.
Now, for me, my experience, what I actually experienced it's sleep paralysis, and I have suffered with this since about 8 years old. And if you don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's when your body is still asleep, your muscles cannot move, but your mind wakes up. You can't open your eyes, you can't move at all. And as an 8-year-old, it was absolutely terrifying. I didn't know what it was until I watched a documentary on it when I was about 16. And then I've suffered with it sort of my whole life, just get it sporadically now and again. But about 10 years ago, I did learn to control it through some techniques that I'd watched. And I turned it around into what was quite a pleasant experience. And then I'd never had it again up until that night. And all I can remember is something was sat on my chest strangling me. And this is quite common with people who do get this. They often see a witch sat on their chest. Mm-hmm. It was like I couldn't breathe, but I've never had that myself. It's just this fear that I can't breathe. But something was sat choking me. And as you woke me up and I opened my eyes, there was a pair of hands in midair that just disappeared into the ether. And I was just like, I didn't even tell you till ages after, because it sort of freaks me right out.
Yeah, you didn't say it until...
I had to sort of decompress it and go through it in my mind, like, did I just really see that? It was up. The arms, I can still see it really vivid now. The arms sort of ended about there. And they just, like you would see in a film, like just sort of disappear like into smoke. I can still close my eyes and see it now. Oh, it was terrifying.
After that night and you experiencing that as well, it's just absolutely crazy. And I'm not sure if Cade actually did hear something coming from the kitchen, because he was closer to the kitchen.
Yeah,
He could have
actually, there could have been a noise in there that I was hearing at the same time, and you was closer to me, so all you could hear was me. That is possible.
Yeah. Very odd, but we all went back to sleep, woke up the next morning, very tired, and we decided I
said, let's go around and do another baseline check with the EMF to make sure everything's settled back down, especially that top room where the device said there's a danger to life and just went full. Yeah. I said, let's go back in there. If it's still doing it, maybe a cable has frayed and it's letting some EMF out into the atmosphere, and we can detect it again and discover where it's coming from maybe. Mm-hmm. But we went in there. Oh, you and Kay did actually stay downstairs.
You were packing stuff away.
I was packing stuff away. You guys went in there, and what happened?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was just like the readings the first time when we arrived.
Previously. It'd gone back to the house's baseline.
Yeah, there was just nothing happening. And we did call-outs as well. We did some call-outs in some of the rooms. Nothing.
Yeah, we did.
So silent, so quiet.
Right.
Nothing happened.
It was all back to normal.
Back to what you'd say was normal.
It's weird.
Which I think for me adds to the fact that device went off was
at that time.
For me, was something definitely paranormal.
Yeah, there's no explanation for that, is there?
There's no live wire. The device, brand new, it wouldn't be malfunctioning.
If you as a viewer can think of a reason why this would happen, could you pop a comment below and let us know your thoughts on it?
Please do. Please do.